No kidding. That's short. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you all. Welcome, welcome to First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. It is Easter Sunday, April 9th of 2023. I am Reverend Dr. Kate R. Walker. I use the she, her pronouns, and I am honored to serve as the minister of this beloved community. For those with visual disability, I'm a 60-year-old white female with light brown hair. I wear glasses. I am wearing a black clergy robe with a colorful stole around my neck. And you are all most certainly welcome here. If you are here in person, give a shout out to all the folks on YouTube. Would you please give a shout out? Help them feel welcome. And for those on YouTube, I'm listening. Give a shout out to those of us here. We're so glad that you've all chosen to be here with us in this multi-generational Easter service. You are all so welcome here. We are a people of many beliefs, many origins, many sexualities and genders. We are a multi-faith religious community where all are welcome. Diversity is celebrated and questions are expected. We are all growing, we are learning, and we are loved. If this is your very first time here with us, welcome in particular for your courage to get out of bed and come down the road or turn on your computer and click on our website. We're so glad to have you. And if you are online right now, please, after the service, not right now, after the service, check out our website, explore it. On the main page down at the bottom, you'll find a form for our newsletter. Sign up. Find out about all the wonderful opportunities that you can be involved and feel connected. And if you are here in person and haven't yet connected with our welcome desk, it's right through these doors in the garden lobby where you can get on our mailing list and find out who we are and start to have a sense of community with us. And if you are on YouTube, we'll have it, but for those in person, we have a social hour after service, and we have an Easter egg hunt. Yes, we have an Easter egg hunt. I'm pretty sure we're checking for age at the door, though, right? IDs, yeah, I'm sorry. Tall Easter bunnies, I know, Ward, sorry, yeah. Young Easter bunnies only for the Easter egg hunt. But there is a social hour right downstairs underneath this room in the Undercroft. And for those online, if you just, we have a study group on Zoom. If you send an email to First Unitarian Pittsburgh, it's one word, at gmail.com, you'll get an auto response with a link to our Zoom social hour. I want to highlight some cool things that are happening in the next few weeks. I want to make sure, because I know some of you don't actually click on the newsletter as soon as it arrives. But you're missing a lot of really good information. One of them, next week on April 16th, we welcome to this worship service the speaker, Reverend Dr. Asa Lee. He is the president of the Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. He's also a friend of mine. We both moved here from the DC metropolitan area at the same time and did our doctoral work together. He's just phenomenal. He's a Black Baptist preacher taking on the Presbyterian Theological School. He needs our help, folks. Lord help him, and he's come to share some of his wisdom and his wise love with us. And please come and hear him. And then on Earth Day, we have an Earth Day workshop on April 23rd, Joy in Action. This is part of our commitment to climate justice. And this particular workshop, we're just excited about it. It's been delayed a couple times because we want to make sure there's no other conflicts that are going on so that you can attend. It is on Zoom. Very easy. No excuses. It is on Zoom. But of course, if you want to attend with other people, organize amongst yourselves. Organize amongst yourselves. Easy to do. Do the class together on Zoom. And then finally, at the end of the month, the whole month is exciting, I'm telling you. On April 30th, we are welcoming Dr. Elias Ortega to the pulpit. He is the president of Meadville Lombard Theological School, which is in Chicago. It is one of our 2 Unitarian Universalist seminaries, and I'm just delighted to have him as well. He's just bringing some fabulous visionary work to our future seminarians, our future clergy, and our faith. So that being said, don't you now wish you had been opening up that newsletter, finding out what's going on in this community? Don't miss it. You never know. I invite you now on this Easter Sunday to take your Easter bunny butts and settle in. Arrive in body and spirit. A lot of you hopped in from your lives, and now you can just be present with one another. Be present on this Easter Sunday. Take a deep breath. Find yourself connected to one another in this space and this time, this sacred place, this sacred time. You are all beautiful people, and I am so glad to have you. We turn now to our chalice lighting, the symbol of our faith as Unitarian Universalists. 2 circles holding us together. The words of Dillman Baker Sorrells: "For holy days in which we recall the old stories, we light the flame. For Passover, which reminds us of the courage and strength of those seeking freedom in the past, we light this flame. For Easter, which reminds us of that love is our greatest challenge, we light the flame. For gathering today in the sacred space, we light the flame. For the opportunity to be together as a community, to remember the past, to plan for our future, to be alive in our present, we light this flame." Welcome, welcome to you all. I invite you to stand in body and spirit for number 61, "Lo, the Earth Awakes Again." The theme of the month for April is invitation. Invitation. Who likes to get invitations Oh, yep, pretty much, except for the extreme introverts, right? They might bring up a little anxiety. Invitations to parties, to graduations, we're coming up on that time of year, to weddings. They're always about celebration and fun. Easter is an invitation as well. It's an invitation through the lens of Unitarian Universalists to transformation, to doing something completely different within ourselves and out there in the larger world. Oh, I realized my name tag is here. Hey, hello. About to whack it off. But Unitarian Universalists, we sometimes struggle with Easter, don't we? We're not quite sure what to do with it. There's a couple details, like, well, there's the resurrection. And then some of those details flowed on into 300 years later, Jesus was elevated, right? To the same status as God. Yeah, that's pretty much where they lost us. That's pretty much where the Unitarians said, no, we're going on a different path. But here we are. We're reframing Easter. It's not something we just throw out. It is something special about this day that we celebrate for various reasons. So we shift it from less about resurrection and more about transformation. It's less about death and suffering and more about love and life. In particular, we connect to transformation through spring, right? Through the earth. And there's a fair amount of historical evidence that says, yes, the placement of this holiday is tied to rebirth, to rejuvenation, to fertility, bunnies, rabbits, eggs, yep. Yet when we focus on just this almost pagan aspect of Easter, I think we have missed an opportunity to dive in a little deeper, not into the dirt. I know you gardeners are really eager, but this is about the story of Easter itself, about transformation. I think the Easter story is a story about generational conflict. Generational conflict. It was an epic moment when one generation failed the next generation, like a racer who is trying to pass on the baton. One generation refused to hand off the baton, to share that moment of power, and then to let go. Not all invitations are welcome or wanted. Sometimes we are invited into a shared relationship, and then we need to let go. Some invitations require some work, some input, spiritual reckoning, and a courage to examine our faith. This is what we're going to look at today as a part of our Easter service. And I think I hand this off to Alice now.
Hiding. Every month, we share our generosity with a designated organization. For the month of April, it is Ceasefire Pennsylvania. All donations are shared 50-50 with this organization, unless otherwise designated. Our religious community is made up of volunteers and staff, creating and hosting a variety of programming. We rely on your financial support. In addition to the collection plate, you can donate by texting GIVE to 412-435-1050 and following the direction. Please check the end, I think it's on the back page of our order of service for more directions. The offering will now be taken.
There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more fires burning, they will find their way to me. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know. There are more mountains falling, they will find their way to me. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. I will wade through the waters when they find their way to me. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know, this I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know. I will walk through the fires when they find their way to me. I will walk through the fires, this I know, this I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains when they find their way to me. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know.
What an Easter gift. Thank you. Thank you. My beloved, I know many of you have both joys and sorrows dancing and hopping about in your hearts. One moment you're feeling a sense of renewal and hope, and you're celebrating spring, a birthday, a new child, and the next moment you read the headlines of the newspapers. And it is hard to balance both. It is hard and exhausting, and I hope you are taking care of yourselves as we negotiate this journey in life. Please care for yourselves. I invite you to join me for a few moments of silent prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, give us strength and love. Soothe our worries. When our hearts get too broken, help us heal. Spirit of love, help us mend. Spark our wisdom to know what to do when we're confused. When we feel we have lost our way, light the path ahead of us. We are here with our hearts both broken and mending, seeking encouragement, connection, renewal of hope. We offer our prayers and healing and wisdom to all of our beloved right now in places like Nashville, in places where the transgender people are being persecuted again and again, our siblings of faith. We offer our hope always and encouragement to Ukrainians. There are so many places our love is needed. Let our love grow with each day as the dawn continues to rise. May our hope rise. May our strength and commitment to creating a better world here and now, in the fields of hope, may we be the ones who guide in the night. As the waters continue to rise, as the mountains continue to be there before us, needing to be climbed, give us strength. The holy place of life is here and now. May our hearts be mended and our bodies strengthened. Blessed be Ashe and Amen.
Not yet. Can you hear me now? All right. Excellent. Y'all remember Christmas? Remember that story? No. Remember that story that we always tell at Christmas about that special baby that was born 2,000 years ago and how happy everybody was about that birth? Whatever happened to that baby? That's what today is about. Easter's about the rest of that story. True story. 2,000 years ago, there was a Jewish teacher who became known to us as Jesus. He was born, he had the story that we know and that we tell around Christmas, and then he grew up. And when he grew up, he had a message. He had a holy message, the holiest of messages. Love your neighbor as yourself. His message was so important and it was so moving at the time that even though he wasn't trying to be famous, everywhere he went, crowds of people would gather around him and follow him because they felt that they needed to hear that message. And he got to be very, very popular. And he got to be so popular that the people in charge, the authorities, were worried. They didn't like the fact that he was getting so much attention. And they were afraid that they were going to lose their power. And so they plotted and they conspired and tried to figure out what to do about him. And finally they decided he had to go. So they bribed. That means they convinced with money one of his many disciples. He had several disciples who followed him and tried to walk the walk, tried to live the way that he was teaching how to live. And there was one disciple named Judas who, according to the story, accepted 30 pieces of silver, a lot of money. And on Passover night, when the Jewish people were celebrating the Passover, Judas led the authorities to Jesus that night, betrayed him by giving him a kiss so that they would know who it was. They arrested him, they tried him in an unfair trial, and they killed him. And his holy message stuck with the people who listened to him. And they thought, why? How could God let something like this happen? How could God let this person die? How could God let this person not only die, but be treated like a criminal, like a bad person? And they struggled with what to do with this. And in their struggle, they told stories about everything that he had said and everything that he had done. And some of them couldn't even really let him go. In fact, back then and even today, they believed that maybe he wasn't really dead. Maybe he was going to come back because he was something more than human, something extraordinary. And we'll learn the rest of the story in a little bit.
Hymn 266, Now the Green Blade Riseth. The prelude of Jesus' death is about pain and suffering. That leads to the main event, which is about transformation to a new life and a new relationship with God. It's why the Christians call it the Old versus the New Testament. The younger generation had complained and proclaimed that the old laws and the old decorum and those old rules no longer worked for them. Indeed, they had been encased in harmful constrictions, preventing them from having a life-filled relationship with God. The old ways of being were no longer meaningful for them. They could not connect to the holy in the way they yearned. And an important tipping point between generations happened. A generational between the past and the present and the future, when the elders, the Pharisees, and the scribes had had enough of Jesus' teachings that directly challenged their ways of being, their laws, and their power. And Jesus would not conform to what they expected, what they demanded. The elders went to the authorities to fix their problem. Every generation faces similar challenges between elders. Elders carrying their power and the younger generation coming into their own, and at some point there's a tipping point. The elders are offered an invitation to share the power, to teach, to be part of that transfer when that moment when the baton is passed on. And then we are called to let go and have faith that the youngest among us can carry on without us. They can, in fact, do things better. Better. Every generation has an invitation to listen deeply to that younger, energetic, passionate, sometimes confused, but aren't we all? These delightful, wise human beings who seek a new way of living on this planet, of being connected to what they feel is the holy part of life. They want to be radical. Okay, we were once radical, were we not? They are picking up traditions and those old laws, and they're examining them, and they're asking questions. Heretical. Do you know what heretical means? A heretic? One who questions. Any heretics in the room? All right, excellent, excellent. Today's headlines are full of laws and rules that are being examined, and people are asking questions and challenging the elders. I draw your attention to Nashville, Tennessee this past week. Some people are not conforming. I applaud them. I applaud them. Do we not? Do we not? Not breaking into the norm of restriction and overt racism. The elders of the Jewish community, like the elders in Nashville, could have listened, could have leaned in to ask their own questions, and instead they were threatened. They were defensive. They were angry, and they lashed out.
It's odd that there would be a story that continues after the main character has died. How is that the case? So here's what happened. It was very, very painful when Jesus died, and it was very, very hard for the people who followed him and thought, how could a message that was so right be punished like that? But they continued to speak about him. They continued to remember him. Some people told that they had actually seen him, that he had come back, that he had spoken to them. And these stories began to spread like wildfire. These rumors began to spread that Jesus had died, but then he had come back to life. And then, finally, after spending time with his disciples, he went up into heaven, that he ascended into heaven, and now they were going to wait for him to come back because he was going to save the world. He was going to come back and save everything and finish what he started. And that's how they kept him. That's how they dealt with the fact that he died. And they told those stories to their children. And those children told their stories to their children. And they told them to their children. And on and on and on for 2,000 years. And there are many people around the world today that believe that Jesus physically came back to life from the grave, and that he went up into heaven, and that he's going to come back. And they've been waiting for this Savior to come back. Well, I can say, and this is not a joke, I can say that we don't know of anybody who has ever come back from death physically. And I would say that most of us probably believe that's not possible, but I won't speak for everyone. So what do we do with this Jesus? What is he to the people who see that he was human, not God-level power, human, that he died, and yet he was so important? What do we do with that? Well, to us, coming back to life is a different thing. I said to us, I'm going to say to me, speaking for myself, Jesus came back to life in the fact that his message came back over and over and over and over again, inspiring people like Martin Luther King Jr., inspiring people around the world. We would not be sitting here in this building if it weren't for him. That is why we're actually here. In fact, if you think about it, maybe he never went anywhere at all. See, life is something different to us. Transformation is something different to us. We don't end when we die. Can we find meaning in that? Can you feel that maybe Jesus is here right now?
As that story of Jesus' tomb unfolded, this new story emerged. It was a story of hope, of a new vision of world transformed by love rather than outdated laws. A generational change birthed by women who stayed by the tomb despite their pain and were the ones who announced the hope reborn. They waited. So I look around, my beloved. We are surrounded by generational transformation, and even in our grief, we must have hope. The baton itself is hope. Do you all understand that? That we carry hope and must pass it on to our children and their children. We are charged with our hope and passing it on. The visions that we are creating with our children in this brief moment of time when we share the baton with them, before we let it go, we are crafting hope with them, giving them the best of who we are, and then letting go. And having trust and faith. And at some point, my young friends in this community right now, anybody under the age of 20, any younger folks, I'm talking to you right now, okay? Someday, you are going to be in charge. Someday, you are going to be the board chair. See it coming, Rob. See it coming. The future board chair is maybe in this room. Someday, you may be the one telling stories where Erica is. Someday, you may be playing the piano where Ellen is. Someday, I hope you're right here in this pulpit, preaching your heart out. You are our future hope. Do you believe that? Yeah. All right, maybe tomorrow after breakfast. You get there. When that day comes, when you are carrying the baton of hope, I hope you turn to a Jewish leader who lived 2,000 plus years ago and had words of wisdom about radical love. I hope you recognize that each night a child is born is a sign of hope. And in that spark of life is a spark of salvation. Ideally, the choices we make are up to us, my beloved, but we do know more waters are rising, more mountains need to be climbed, and by God, I know we can do it with the hope that we pass on to one another in our race to help create a better world for everyone. And on this Easter morning, as we pass on the baton of hope, we do this with deep faith in one another, that this world will be a better place for all. May your hope be rekindled and renewed on this Easter morning for all. I invite you to stand as you're able, in body and spirit, for 1005 Praise in Springtime.
Hearts rejoice and voices sing.
I invite you to remain standing as we extinguish our chalice. And the words are in our hearts as well as in our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Before I offer the benediction, Erica is going to tell you where all the eggs are. No.
Easter egg hunt! Yay! After 3 years! Do you guys remember the special sparkly eggs? Some of you might remember that. Okay, I have a message from my husband, Alf, who could not be here today, but this is his favorite holiday, and so he has hidden the eggs again. First of all, the kids, we are going to go do our Easter egg hunt. We're going to go out those doors, and we're going to go to the end of the hall, and we're going to go to a room called the Foz room, and I'm going to give you instructions there. That's the regular Easter egg hunt. For everyone, however, there are 8 sparkly special eggs hidden somewhere in this building, and each one of them has a special prize. Anybody of any age can find one, and there is one big golden egg that has a special prize. So they're hidden here. Last times we've done this, it's taken all year. People were finding eggs all year. He's kind of evil in the way that he hides them. But they do get found, so you can look. They won't be in any offices, and they will not be in kitchens or places that we don't access. I'll put more information in the newsletter so that you guys know the deal. But yeah, have fun looking for the eggs. I see some people bouncing already. One more thing. We were going to collect canned goods for this egg hunt. And in case you didn't know that, if you didn't get to bring anything, we're going to go ahead and continue to do that. We're going to continue to collect a food drive for the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank, so you can bring them each Sunday throughout the month of April. Okay? All right, families, to the end of the hall in the Foz room, find a spot to sit, because I have more instructions.
Wait.
Oh, benediction.
Yeah. I don't know, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good benediction. That was pretty good. Go forth, my people. Go forth, my people, into this world. Bring new life to one another. Bring hope to one another. Pass it on. Create this new world. And go find those eggs. Return again in love. Blessed be.
Has already been found. Simone spotted it. It's up there in the organ. So we have to figure out how to get it.